You said something super interesting. Let's go back to the neutral. We're going to reset this. You go back to the neutral. We're going to reset to LGBT rights are relative. LGBT rights are relative. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, move. All right, cool. Where are we, man?
We're in UCF, Orlando, Florida.
You like living in Orlando?
I love it.
What do you love about it?
I love how big it is. It's always busy. I also love the culture, the environment. It's great.
You love living in Orlando?
I love living in Orlando.
What do you like about Orlando?
I just like how big it is.
Like he said,
you can meet like a lot of people and literally never meet them again. But it just really just
they can have certain advantages.
Really, so like it really just pushes me to like network and just talk to anybody I see.
All right, cool. And what year are you in?
This will be my 3rd year in UCF, baby.
What year are you in?
This will be my 1st year at UCF.
Oh wow, congratulations. Okay, cool. So we are going to do the claim, and if you have ever any question at all, just look at the board because like if you forget it, it's right over there.
Gotcha.
Okay. So you got the rule: don't move until I say move. You can move anytime you want, or not at all. It's up to you. Okay. Incest is morally wrong, even if no children result. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, move. Okay, tell him. Are you guys buddies?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. That's a good answer. Okay, tell him why you slightly disagree.
Slightly disagree. Well, this is based on my theory of morality. I think morality is relative. There's no absolute rules. Actions are actions, and the only reason why we decide it's good or bad is based on how we experience or what we learned. So, normally I only disagree with incest because I know it biologically it's bad for the children, but if no children are in a result, then what's really making it bad? The only thing that I can really see how it would be bad is a social concept about it. However, I'm a big fan of social concepts, but I don't see anything really wrong. I would just say it's weird, but if you want to like be into your family members, then do you.
Okay. Why do you strongly agree that incest is morally wrong?
All right, then my answer is not going to be as technical as him.
That's okay. Whatever you want. Whatever you think.
I just believe that it's morally wrong, like because just biologically, and it's really just like blood.
But no children result.
No children result. Yeah. But I mean, I still feel like at the end of the day, like morally wrong. That's really just my opinion. I don't really got nothing to it.
What makes it morally wrong?
What makes it morally wrong? I would just say that at the end of the day, it's really just family. That's blood. Like, especially how,
So let's say the guy got a vasectomy and the woman got her tubes tied.
Right.
So it was literally impossible.
Literally impossible.
Absolutely 100% impossible for them to conceive and have a kid. You're on the strongly agree.
I'm still on the strongly agree.
So how come?
I'm gonna say this. I didn't want to really just tie it in. I'm just really gonna tie it in like really my religious.
So it's a religious belief
for me, yeah. Because
okay.
I'm Christian, and I like Jesus, like how we believe that men and women are supposed to be what's it called, reproducing, right? And I just believe that we should just keep it there, just meeting other people and just reproducing with other people, not really inside the family, right?
Okay. So he believes it's morally wrong for a religious reason.
Hmm?
What do you think of that? Do you accept that?
Well, to be fair, I'm a theist or a deist or whatever believes of the whole concept that there's a supreme being. I just don't follow a specific religion.
Okay.
I can respect it though, because I also believe, same way how I believe that people can choose to perform incest if they want. If no children result, I also tell them if you want to believe in that because of your religion, that is okay. However, I don't believe in religion. I don't follow religion, so that argument isn't really strong for me. I'm looking at it as practical as I can. The only reason why we now say incest is wrong is because we know of the medical result from it. Back then, when they used to do incest, the kings and queens, before we knew what we knew.
Oh, like Game of Thrones, too.
Yeah, like Games of Thrones. People, the royal family used to do it, and they supported it. That's because morally they thought it was correct. But like I said before, we know it's medically not the greatest idea, so we kind of shun it. You kind of see how morality can shift, how it's relative based on what's believed and what's not believed. What if I say, and thank God it isn't, I'm not even going to go in that argument, but deeper into that argument, but let's say the Bible did support incest. In a sense, it kind of did, just a little bit, but I'm not going to go too deep into it.
Well, it had to, because Adam and Eve had a kid, and their kids had to be incest.
I actually have an argument against that, but I'm not like concrete on it, so I can't really like defend it fully. But let's go with that. Let's say Adam had a kid and he had to like, to populate the earth. Then the real question is, if you are gonna follow your religion, would you at least use religion to defend ancestry? If it means healthy children. Now I'm changing the question a little bit. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Okay. That's okay. So we heard his point. My question is, if no God existed, would incest still be wrong?
Would incest still be wrong?
Yeah.
I suppose that maybe it wouldn't be, but I would also want to counteract his question.
Yeah, please. Tell him.
You were talking about something about Adam and Eve doing what they had to do. So say like after Adam and Eve did what they had, they bit from the fruit after God told them they didn't. What was that? That was a sin, wasn't it? So that was a sin. So after that, they got kicked out of the Garden of Eden. If anything, now we're looking at a world full of sin. So at the end of the day, I still believe, it's morally incorrect because God would want us to be have families and reproduce.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but this is so if we go on a biblical conception, right? So there's Adam and Eve, and that's it, and then they do the hokey pokey, and then they have kids. But for the world, for all this to happen, those kids have to have sex with each other.
Yeah.
And if those kids had sex with each other, that's a brother and a sister having sex.
Right.
So there's a biblical basis for incest.
I wouldn't even like. I don't really understand how that really worked out. Like, I would say this, but I don't really have proof. It was really just saying that after Adam and Eve had their had sex with so they can have kids.
Yeah.
And like there's like after the Bible, after that point, it was talking about the cities that they're venturing off to, and there was people there. I just don't really have biblical proof.
But they did commit incest, and that is in the Bible.
Yes. That is in the Bible.
So if it's in the Bible and your reason for incest being morally wrong, and then in that case, children resulted, right?
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to change your mind to agree because it's in the Bible and God ordained it? Because if God didn't ordain it, then he wouldn't have made Adam and Eve. He would have made whatever.
I definitely would change my answer to agree.
Well, are you going to change your answer?
I'll change my answer.
Okay. So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
You said before that culture is relative, like moral truth is relative, right?
To an extent,
I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yeah, to an extent.
Okay.
It is.
So if moral truth is relative, then how come you're not on the neutral line for incest?
Incest? Because, like I said before, because you included the phrase, all right, you know how I said before with morale, it doesn't really exist, action or action, but because we become more aware and we learn, we decide what's good or bad. Because I know there is no harm in estrus that I know of, if we take out the fact that no children are result, then based on my own ethics, I would say it's not really wrong. But because I still think it's weird, because at the end of the day, it is kind of weird to be sexually attracted to your family member.
Like a mom or a sister or a brother.
That's just strange to me. Based on moral morale, I can't really be neutral on it because I think it's bad to an extent, but I don't think it's completely wrong. I just think it's weird.
Okay, so if you're, but let me make sure I got that right. Your morality itself is relative to other moralities.
Yeah, but that's just my personal opinion. Overall, I don't think, like overall, I think it's weird, but I don't think I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna sound a little contradictory, but like I said,
what's contradictory?
Ironic. It kind of goes against what another belief. But at the end of the day, like I said, just because I believe, it's relative. Just because I believe it's wrong doesn't mean it's completely or absolutely wrong. The opposite of relatively is absolute. You know how some people will argue that killing is absolutely wrong, 100%?
Yeah.
I think killing is only wrong to an extent.
Like self-defense, it's okay.
Self-defense
would be. If he started to choke me to death and
you end up defending yourself,
head with a mic.
I wouldn't even call that murder. I would just say that's real. But I'm just being really honest. Or like lying, how we were taught that lying is wrong. Well, I'm sorry, Mom. Lying is not wrong, depending on the context. Because if I'm lying to protect someone or to benefit someone, how can that really be wrong? Then again, it does depend on who's getting affected. That's why I keep arguing it's relative. It's based on someone's perspective.
Well, let me ask you a question. If you were raised in a context where everyone was having sex with their family members, but only after they had vasectomies and their tubal ligations and stuff, would you still think it's weird, or do you only think it's weird because you live in a society in which people don't do that?
Option B. That's the truth. That's why I keep saying it's relative. If people were more common, grew up in the circumstances where they were okay, of course they're not going to think it's morally wrong. They'll probably think this question is just dumb, unless something changed.
Right.
Like a what's the word? A paradigm. I'm not going to use that big ass word.
Paradigm shift.
Thank you. Paradigm shift. Thank you. You are a genius.
No, I'm just older than you.
Yeah. Thank you. For example, right? Like the LGBT rights. Here in the Western world, we accept it now. It's okay, cool. However, if you go to like the Caribbeans or, well, certain countries, the Caribbean or the Middle Eastern countries.
Jamaica,
yeah. They're going to think that is just completely morally wrong.
Correct,
It's shifted.
correct.
Like I said,
and in some of those places it's illegal too.
Yeah, it depends on how you were raised, grown. That's why I can't even say it's absolute. Like I said before, which I do admit does sound a bit contradictory that I'm even here. I do admit that. So if that's a loss on me, I accept that loss. But it's only weird to me.
What's contradictory about you being there? Oh, you mean that you should be on the neutral?
Yeah. It's only really weird to me because I was grown up to the whole concept being weird. However, if I just take off the whole like how I was raised and whatever, it's just an act, and it really just depends.
Okay. You said something super interesting. Let's go back to the neutral. We're going to reset this. You go back to the neutral. We're going to reset to LGBT rights are relative. LGBT rights are relative. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, move. Okay. Tell him why you slightly agree. Oh, okay, you're moving. Okay. Okay, strongly agree. Okay, tell him why you slightly agree.
Why I slightly agree that LGBTQ rights are relative.
Correct.
Because everybody has a freedom of choice, freedom of, just freedom to have whoever they like or anything like that. But the only reason I say slightly agree,
yeah,
because it's against my, my beliefs.
When you say beliefs, you mean religion?
The thing is, the only reason why, say back then, I would like to definitely take back the word religion, because in my sense, I'm Christian.
Okay.
But the only thing that means that word Christian means to me is that I'm a believer of Christ. Because religion is man-made; it's not made by God.
Wasn't Christ down on gays?
Down on gays? What do you mean by that?
Well, like if I could give you certain biblical passages that said that homosexuality is a sin, would you be willing to move to the other side?
The thing is, even if you, I would probably know those passages, for sure. But the thing is, if anything, I'd probably go neutral. But if we're, the only reason why I have two ideas, because, in the U.S. it's really just freedom of choice, and two, it's...
So you value freedom of choice?
I value freedom of choice, I do. But the thing is, at the end of the day, I do value God's word. So in my opinion, I don't go against God's word.
Do you value God's word more than freedom of choice?
Yes, sir.
Do you value God's word more than your family?
Yes, sir.
Do you value God's word more than your life?
Yes, sir. And before you ask me...
You don't have to call me sir. I'm just Peter.
Oh, my bad.
No.
And if you're asking the question, I'm probably just going to say yes.
Okay. Well, okay. Got it. Why are you on strongly agree for LGBT rights are relative?
Kind of like what I explained before, depending on where you go, that decides what's right or wrong, like Jamaica, the Middle Eastern countries, but how in the Western world it's seen as okay. Another thing is,
You're down on it in Afghanistan. They're not big fans.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but what biblical scriptures did Jesus directly said that he was down on gays? I don't think there is any.
I think Paul did, but I don't think that Jesus, you know how in the King James in such certain Bibles they put it in red? Paul did, but I don't think Jesus said it.
Yeah, because I wouldn't even use Jesus as an example, especially since he was the prime example of never judge anyone, since he kind of hang around with crooks.
Oh, judge not lest ye be judged, Matthew 7:1.
Yeah, but that's completely out of topic. I'm not even going to go too deep into that.
Yeah,
but
because you're not religious, so
right. But I'm still open to learning. I actually do know a good amount about Christianity. That's why I can respect it. I do love the idea. It's beautiful, contrary to belief in the Western world, but it's really beautiful. The idea of forgiving, loving, passing. I think it's really cool. I think Jesus is a great historical figure.
Cool. Okay, cool. Before I wrap it up here, thanks for agreeing to do this game.
Sorry.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
No, Peter.
Yes, Peter.
Yeah, Peter.
You're not that old. You're not that old.
Yeah, well, I'm 56.
I wouldn't say anything above 35.
I don't know. Although last night I wrestled for 80 straight minutes.
Hey,
80 straight minutes. I didn't take a single break the whole time.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Yeah, well, no, not that kind of wrestling. I was only to be so lucky. No, I did jiu-jitsu. Okay. Last question. If rights are relative, why should anybody care about them? Oh, this is actually for you, more or less.
I got a reason. Why?
Okay, cool.
The only reason why we came up with morale in the first place, two things. One, to control. Two, to protect. But what I mean by control, the world was still new when we had to come up with what's good or right. People didn't really, well, they did. They kind of knew, but they didn't really know because there was nothing to really guide them at the time. That's where
they didn't even have lens technology back then. They had nothing. That's
how government was formed, because someone had to lead them and stir the people to the right direction. And it came to a point whatever was law became people's morale. And in that sense, it protected them. Because imagine if we didn't have any laws, right, to protect us.
That'd be bad.
Yes, anarchists may argue it would be a great thing. I think it's kind of dangerous, because like,
if they think it's such a great thing, why don't they just, go to the Congo or someplace, or go to Syria, or go to, like, if they really believe that, why don't they just move?
Dude, I don't know. I'm not an anarchist.
Right.
I just know I don't mind morals, like certain social concepts, laws, because it protects. Because it gives a sense of security. No one actually has to follow them. If we really wanted to, we can overthrow the government. Will we succeed? No. I think not. Maybe. But there's no point of trying, because people just feel safe. They like that blanket security of it.
Yeah. All right, cool. All right, man, thanks. Appreciate your time.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, man. You guys have fun?
Yeah, we did.
You did good, man. You did real good. That was excellent.